I think the United Kingdom and the rest of the world needs to move away from populist types of figures. By populism, I mean individuals that market themselves as championing common man causes and opposing a perceived establishment. I think these individuals often espouse nonsense and are not helpful in tackling complex societal and political issues. In this video, we'll be discussing first the right-wing side of populism with Nigel Farage, and then we'll be discussing the left-wing side of populism with the new leader of the Green Party, Zach Polanski. So let's start with Nigel Farage. Farage is a populist because he rails against a perceived political elite that doesn't listen to the population about immigration.
To country after country, and I really believe that Westminster, the intellectuals, the liberal elites just don't get it. They still are trying to brush under the carpet the issue of immigration.
I've previously done a video about Farage, so if you'd like more context, I've linked the video in the description. But for a quick refresher, Farage has excused Vladimir Putin for annexing Crimea.
If you actually look at what's happened with the Ukraine, we've had a message that's been sent out now for 10 years, and this is not just the EU. Indeed, David Cameron, Nick Clegg, and I'm afraid Ed Miliband too, have all been saying to the Ukraine, look, why don't you come and join the European Union? While you're at it, why don't you join NATO too? And this is something that has been seen by Putin to be a deeply provocative act. We have given false hope to those Western Ukrainians, and did you see them with their EU flags and their banners? They actually toppled a democratically elected leader. Yes, I know Ukraine's corrupt, I know he wasn't perfect, but they toppled a leader, and I do not want to be part of an emerging expansionist EU foreign policy. I think it'll be a danger to peace.
He blamed NATO for Russia's aggression in Ukraine, effectively shifting responsibility away from Russia's imperialism.
Yeah. When Vladimir Putin sent his troops across the border in 22, you blamed the West, not him. You said, I'll just read it to you and then you can react, that on a tweet, it was a consequence of EU and NATO expansion. Is that a judgment you stand by?
Right. I'll tell you what you don't know. I stood up in the European Parliament in 2014 and I said, and I quote, there will be a war in Ukraine. Why did I say that? It was obvious to me that the ever eastward expansion of NATO and the European Union was giving this man a reason to his Russian people to say they're coming for us again and to go to war.
But you were echoing him.
I was sorry.
You were echoing him. That's what Putin says.
No. Sorry, I've been saying this actually since the 1990s. Ever since the fall of the wall. But hang on a second. We've provoked this war. It's of course it's his fault. He's used what we've done as an excuse.
But we provoked the invasion of Ukraine.
Yes, and very interestingly,
while a member of the European Parliament, he blocked resolutions condemning Russia's human rights abuses as well as Russia's interference in elections. He frequently appeared on Russia Today, a known propaganda outlet in the years leading up to Russia's invasion of Crimea. He advocated for Brexit, which according to the Office for Budget Responsibility reduced productivity growth by 4%. Now this is important because productivity growth is directly related to economic growth. Therefore, he advocated for a policy that reduces increasing living standards. And finally, his immigration policies, such as halting non-essential migration and deporting people back to France, are either too vague to be credible or legally unworkable. Now that we have the context out of the way, we can talk about more recent events. So not too long ago, Farage went to the United States and referred to the United Kingdom as North Korea.
and you would be doing us and yourselves and all freedom-loving people a favour if your politicians and your businesses said to the British government, you've simply got this wrong. At what point did we become North Korea? Well, I think the Irish Common...
So, as you can probably work out for yourself, it isn't a good idea for a politician to go abroad and refer to their own country as North Korea. It makes all of us look incredibly bad. Therefore, given the multitude of terrible things Farage has done and continues to do, such as excusing Russian aggression or going to the United States and attacking us, I don't think the British public should vote for a man like this or the party that he represents. Now, let's turn to the new leader of the Green Party, Zach Polanski. Polanski is a populist because he rails against billionaires and millionaires.
At the same time, we've got multimillionaires and billionaires who are not paying their fair share in tax.
Similar to Farage, Polanski espouses nonsensical geopolitical ideas. Recently, in an interview, he said that the United Kingdom should give up our nuclear weapons.
You previously said that the age of NATO is over. So do you believe that the UK should leave NATO?
So Green Party policy is to stay in NATO but reform it from within. And one of the key asks is to remove nuclear weapons. Now, that's something I absolutely still support.
I am going to come in if I may, because NATO is a nuclear alliance. That's the kind of the point of it, right?
I agree, and that's why I was going to go on to say we've got Donald Trump, a man who says Vladimir Putin is his friend but still humiliates Zelensky in the White House, who is largely running and controlling NATO at this point. So what I'm arguing for is not a withdrawal of NATO straight away, but actually to begin conversations and dialogues with our European partners about what does an alternative alliance look like that is based on peace and diplomacy rather than nuclear weapons. Now,
he goes on to say that nuclear weapons aren't making us any safer.
Just to be clear then, in the, I guess, medium to long term, you would like to leave NATO. Is that your personal position?
Only as long as there is an alternative alliance based on peace and diplomacy with European neighbours, yes. That's not something to do right now when we need to defend and stand in solidarity with the Ukrainian people in the same way as with Palestinians. But I think we do need to have a longer conversation, a national conversation in this country about the fact that nuclear weapons aren't making us any safer. We're 80 years since the Hiroshima disaster. And this is the exact time to have the conversations about what does a different way of looking at peace and security look like.
Now, I'm shocked that the leader of the 6th largest political party, that being in the number of seats that they hold, would say something so utterly stupid. The United Kingdom is facing threats that we haven't seen since the end of World War II. Russia is engaged in a full-scale invasion of Ukraine and attacking Europe through unconventional means. China is threatening to invade Taiwan. North Korea now possesses a number of nuclear warheads, and Iran is actively working on gaining nuclear weapons. Therefore, I can't really understand why Polanski would be stating publicly that we should get rid of our most powerful deterrent. So, by virtue of Polanski saying such an idiotic thing at a time when the United Kingdom is facing serious threats, I do not think the British public should vote for a man like this. In short, I don't think the UK needs radical politics or radical politicians. What we need is competent people to tweak the system over time, which in the long run will have a significant impact on all of our lives.